Marriage. April, when flowers bloom and women adorn themselves with beauty. He and I set up a modest newlywed home in a quiet corner of Busan City. As a young bride, I felt sad and frightened to be so far from my family home. It felt as though only he and I stood alone in this vast world. Moreover, life before and after marriage was far more different than I had imagined. Our personalities, backgrounds, and even our tastes in food were so different that we clashed at times. Growing up in the countryside, he loved soybean paste, stew and vegetables, while I preferred fish. But he quietly embraced me despite our differences. Financially, life was far from easy. Out of his monthly salary of between 50,000 and 60,000 won, 15,000 won went to rent, leaving barely enough for rice, coal briquettes, and other living expenses. After just a month or two of marriage, it seemed his patience had begun to wear thin. A trivial misunderstanding with my in-laws led to a marital quarrel, and frequent conflicts began between us. I was slapped and beaten with sticks more than once for talking back to my husband. At first, I was too shocked and confused to know what to do. Though I tried to understand his life in the rigid military system, I never imagined I would endure such harsh beatings and curses. We had been married for only a short while, and I wondered if all soldiers behaved this way. Perhaps due to the stress and strain of marriage, I suddenly began experiencing alarming health symptoms: unbearable pain, exhaustion, and loss of appetite. I visited hospitals, but all they found was some damage to my stomach. Even the Oriental Medicine Clinic found nothing except a weak stomach and heart. No medicine helped, and all I could think of was returning to my parents' home. With my husband's permission, I went back home for a while. As I stepped through the gate and saw my mother, whom I had longed for so desperately, she exclaimed, "What brings you here? What's wrong with your face?" I couldn't speak and simply lowered my head. Inside, nothing had changed. The old furniture, the hemp threads, the baskets of flax and rami were all still there. I felt guilty seeing my mother, who had aged and suffered for us children, while I only came home when things went wrong. "Mother, what's wrong? Are you sick?" "Something is wrong with me. The hospital says nothing is wrong." "Then let's see a fortune teller tomorrow. It's the only thing we can try, maybe it will help." The next day, we visited a village shaman. "Oh my, are you going to leave your daughter like this?" she said. "If you don't act, she will die soon. Find a more powerful shaman and do a ritual. That's the only way." "What kind of disaster is this? Am I really destined to die?" I cried. Startled, my mother and I hurried to see a well-known virgin fortune teller. "Your daughter is possessed by a spirit. A big shamanic ritual is needed, or things will not end well. Let's do it in a place with good mountains and water," said the young shaman. The next day, we performed a large ritual. Perhaps it worked, as my appetite returned. My health improved, and I regained my strength. But a month later, my symptoms returned, and another shaman claimed the first ritual was done incorrectly. I repeated the ritual 3 times, but my condition stayed the same. As they say, too many rituals ruin a person, and that was exactly my case. Yet I had no choice. This was all I could do at the time. I sank into a life of helplessness and lethargy. Perhaps it was due to his meager salary, the stress of army life, and his sickly wife, but my husband's face was always dark. At least once a week, he would pick up a stick to beat me. I had never imagined my married life would be like this, but it was my reality. One day, I found out I was pregnant, and with trembling courage, I told him. He told me to go to the hospital and abort the baby, refusing even to discuss the child. He beat me for being pregnant despite our lack of money. At 8 months pregnant, I was beaten so severely that I fainted. Accusing me of faking, he pressed his foot on my neck as if to kill me. Then, with a coal tong, he struck my entire body until it swelled and my arm twisted. At the hospital, X-rays revealed ruptures in my arm, tendons, and bones. I felt so miserable that I wanted to die. How could I spend my life with someone who beats and curses his pregnant wife without reason? I thought I could live if only the beatings stopped, even if nothing else improved. All the pent-up anger and pain I had endured for so long began to boil over. He would lose his temper and flip over the table during meals, or throw kimchi and spices across the yard while I was cooking. Maybe because we were raised in such different worlds. He was frugal and guarded with money. Yet when drinking with friends, he spent freely, only to beat me for days over buying a tray of eggs. I cried and begged, but to him, my tears only made me look more pathetic. One day, I thought, what's the point of living like this? I'd rather die. I gathered the medicine I had saved up, swallowed a handful, and drank water. As I slipped into a haze of pain and despair, my husband sensed something was wrong and ran into the kitchen. Seeing the scattered pill packets and my condition, he realized what had happened, forced me to vomit, and slapped me until I regained consciousness. My suicide attempt failed, and I was left mute for a while. One day, I told him seriously that I wanted a divorce. But he continued to torment me and refused to let me go. When I fled to my parents, my family scolded me. "You chose to marry him. How can you say you can't live with him now? It's a disgrace to our family." Time passed, and I gave birth to our first child, a strong, handsome baby boy. As I held him, I saw, for the first time, a smile of joy on my husband's face. I wondered, could this mean a new beginning for us? Could we finally live like other couples?